Well, no, I didn't buy one. This is just an impressions video. I wouldn't dare call it a review because I'm not owning it. But thanks to a fan named Mike, he's allowed me to mess around with this one a little bit. So we're just gonna get some first impressions shots. And I apologize if my immediate reactions seem overbearing because I haven't driven a Model 3 in 15, 16 months. So I'm still very new at this. And wow, this feels amazing. The first impressions are, I feel a lot higher off the ground than I do in my Sonata, which is excellent. The storage space in the back, which we got to look at when we first entered the parking lot, that was incredible. I love the powered hatchback. I wish they would bring that to the Model 3, but given it's a trunk, it's maybe not super useful. Visibility is pretty good. I feel like the side mirrors are a little bit tight. Same with the backup camera, but at the same time, you have this enormous, beautiful display here where you can see both of where your typical blind spots would be and directly behind you. And it's a bit of a muscle memory at first, but now when I'm just looking at the display, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right behind me. Big deal. What's the problem? Build quality is excellent. I love how solid everything feels. The regen with dual motors is absolutely noticeable. So if there's sudden stops in the car, to everyone occupied, I apologize. But I am in shock basically with the design. Just seeing so many pictures of this thing without actually using it. Now driving it feels surreal. The first thing I want to just bring up, and I know this isn't exclusive to the Y, looking at the speed off to the right of the steering wheel is not bad at all. It's just a pure, easy muscle memory that you don't even think about. You just activate it and boom, you're used to it. In fact, you don't have to look through a steering wheel like you do with most cars that have a speedometer right there. There's the stop sign showing up. The car knows what's around it. Can see everything. So this is obviously not the performance model, dual motor, long range, still an insane amount of performance, more than I would ever utilize. And of course, all Model Ys come standard with autopilot. It's hard to compare directly with the Model 3 because it's been so long since I've driven one, but you definitely have a much more like king of the road type feeling being up higher. I don't know what it is, but something about it just feels kind of safer. But at the same time, you know, the Model Y isn't necessarily a full-size SUV, so you feel pretty normal with it. It doesn't feel overbearing. It feels very planted to the ground, which is an excellent perk. I don't even know if it was an intentional perk, but the nice thing of having the battery pack in the floor, like they have it now, is that you have just such a low center of gravity, so you don't feel like, you know, a boat wobbling back and forth when driving it around. Yeah, just seeing all the road markings it's able to pick up when we're driving by. It's able to see stoplights from pretty far away as well, so it's able to pick all that up. Man, just lightly tapping the accelerator, you can tell this thing has a lot of power behind it, and I haven't even utilized it yet. I'm just toying with all of this energy sitting beneath our seats. So we have wireless charging built in by default now. You've got an incredible amount of storage space in here. The display looks excellent, as great as I remember. I think it was good that they brought this over from the Model 3 because I know a lot of people that came from the Model S and went to the 3 and they still preferred, even though it's maybe cheaper, less complicated, people are really getting into minimalism now and having just less complicated interiors, just as simple, not a bunch of buttons, not a bunch of knobs screaming at you, just not doing anything unless you press them. And there may be a few drawbacks to maybe like activating the glove box and that kind of thing, doing it on the display. But overall, I think it's kind of the BlackBerry to iPhone comparison. Yeah, like you have to now open your phone app on the iPhone to start dialing, whereas in the old days you could just start dialing right away. But there's so much extra benefits of having a dynamic display to work with that you don't really mind it. There's a few extra steps here and there, but there's stuff you could never do with other cars prior. So I think people just live with it and prefer it. This is gonna be bad when I go back to my Sonata. I'm gonna start looking at the center console, like what's behind me?
It's
nothing.
Easy to look at because there's nothing in front of you directly, so
right.
It's not like it's not a problem to look at it off to the side because it's obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you fold it down.
Oh wow.
Well, that's magnetic, and then also on the right hand side where it detaches from the roof.
Yeah, that's what I meant by magnetic.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So that just holds in. Oh, it's so simple. That's just a tiny
It's
little
easy and
click.
nice. It just goes in.
Wow.
What are you doing? You got video right there.
Yeah, no, it's such a reflex. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a closed off rear view with this mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I kind of get why the Cybertruck might want to just get rid of some of the side view mirrors if you're able to look that way. No one's behind me.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, oh gosh.
Okay, we made it to 60.
Yep.
Okay.
I did it.
I felt like
I gotta get
I was
to
on a
61.
roller coaster.
Yeah.
You get the G-forces. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy. It feels like that was the fundamental design choice when they when they built the thing. Okay, people like the Model 3. Make a bigger one. That's all you got to do, and you got the winner on your hands. All right, so the editing's all over the place because I'm all over the place. There's so much to take in. It's kind of difficult to drive and rethink, you know, turning and everything, and regenerative braking, and also give your thoughts on the car at the same time. But my first impressions are very impressed. I am completely surprised by the amount of force, you know, the dual motor offers. I just haven't experienced that in a long time, especially with, you know, a vehicle with a hatchback like this and so much storage, and yet you get incredible performance out of this. I love this glass roof. It looks amazing, and I'm sure the sound system is amazing as well. We didn't get a chance to try it, but I love that they're including wireless charging built in. USB-C is epic. The car handles well. It handles turns incredibly well. Autopilot was cool, getting to re-experience that again. And I think Tesla's got a winner on their hands. Obviously, it's got a whole lot of similarities with the Model 3 interior and exterior, but it feels like Tesla learned all that they could from the Model 3, and after ramping it, they know exactly how to make an even better car with more solid profit margins, and they're able to bring such smiles to people's faces that we're able to have fan meetups like this and just kind of share the experience together. And it really proves as to why we don't need to spend money on advertising for these cars. They really do sell themselves, and that's how you know you've developed a solid product, is if you don't have to pay money to show it in front of people's faces. You can just drive it and you're sold. So without further ado, Louise, what did you think of the car?
2 thumbs up. It was really
You want
good.
Y or 3 now?
Well, why not?
Why not? Exactly. Yeah, after driving this, it's given me a considerable amount of thought now that I've experienced the 3 and the Y, both, yes, in very short-term circumstances. I still feel like we're going to be happy with either, and I would be satisfied even with a 3 or basically any car that can do full self-driving at this point. But shout out to Mike. Thanks for letting me drive it around. This was awesome. I'm glad we finally got to get up close in person with the Model Y, and I can't do these kinds of videos every single day, but in the future I hope we can do more as more Tesla vehicles come out. So thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care. Now let's take off. They're out of the car. We can do it. Let's go. Let's go.